First and foremost, I want to say congratulations to my daughter and Santa Clara Vanguard for an amazing season. It's the first time in my life that I ever got to witness, albeit from a distance, the amazing energy and passion and effort that these kids, they're all adult, well, most of them are adults, put into this program. And if you know anything about band camp, I always make fun of it. Totally don't understand the passion behind it, but I appreciate the energy and the time and the effort and the everything about what they do. And yeah, I don't get it. My daughter came to me 3 years ago and said she wanted to try out for color guard. I'm like, sure, go ahead, whatever. And then she got into it. And then the next year she made weapons. And the next year she was a captain. And this year she graduated high school and she went to this. And this is part of Drum Corps International, which I knew nothing about. And these kids, tens of bands with hundreds of kids in each band and a slurry of staff all get together every year and put this performance out. And they compete, right? And Vanguard this year unseated Blue Knights, I believe it was, Blue Devils. There's a lot of blue teams. And that team had placed for second or third every year except for this year for the last 20 years. And Vanguard unseated them. And it's much to the efforts of the kids, but also the staff and their mindset and their positive reinforcing attitude for these, I call them kids, but they're adults, right? They're young adults. This is something that's going to go with them for the rest of their lives. And Lexi came home and she was amazingly much more confident, excited, looking towards the future. And granted, this is a business. I get it. And it's expensive. It's not cheap. But the result that came out of Lexi, her first year, watching her grow, watching her sprout into a motivational adult and buy into the cult of personality that this is, it's an amazing thing. So shout out to my daughter, Lexi, shout out to Vanguard for making third place this year in Indianapolis. It was a great trip for my other daughter, Angie, and I to go and visit with her and watch the performances, and they were all amazing. And wow, Boston Crusaders. Okay, enough of that. Shut that down. Homes are selling at the slowest summer pace in a decade. Yes, it's frustrating. Sellers are frustrated. Agents are frustrated. Buyers are sitting back and taking their time. Kind of like I've been telling you. Is this something that's going to happen for a long time? No. The minute the rates come down, everything will change back to normal again, right? There's economic uncertainty. There's fear of job loss. There's what happens if the market collapses, this and that. It could be 2008 all over again, which probably won't happen because there's a lot more equity built into these homes that people have recently bought. So just the dynamic isn't showing up. And it's proof because you look at the bank-owned or the NODs, the notice of defaults, and you see that those numbers aren't going up crazy here, right? In Texas, they are. They are. I understand, right? And the good news about what's happening there is there are a bunch of new home buyers, new home, like they bought a new from the whoever, and they're getting out of those homes because for whatever reason. Median home price rose 1.4 year over year in July to 443. That's what we were back in 2021, 2022, right? Prices in comparison year over year, June, 0.9 to 0.7, which was a contraction. It's noticeable because in the beginning of the year, home price growth was shrinking. Home price growth was shrinking. So people are getting used to it. Now they're going to buy, but they're coming in and buying at their terms. Buyers have the power right now. Not necessarily a buyer's market, but because home sales have slowed, they're not having to hope and pray and put $400,000 over on a piece of crap house, right? The good news for buyers is that while home prices are rising, mortgage payments have started to come down. It's true. We're seeing interest rates come down just like 1/10 of a point. I had this discussion with a buyer yesterday, and he's a cash buyer, so he's not really into the thing. But the idea is when we're in parity, that means the buyers are at about 5.5%. Sellers can start to command those variables again, as is sit in the house for 3 months, no contingencies, that kind of thing. Today, it's a little bit different. You have to work with buyers. You have to listen to them. You have to give up concessions to make sure that the house sells. And that's just how it is. Home buyer competition remains scarce, and some buyers are backing out of deals. It's true. We have a lot of houses backing out. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So here you go. This is across the United States. So these numbers aren't generally speaking to Santa Clara County or the Bay Area in all, but I have a picture of this in my blog, so take a look at it. But everything is growing, or in fact shrinking. Like supply is growing, rates are sitting. The number of buyers that are sitting on the wall waiting for the right house to show up, it is what it is. Like my buyer that I talked to yesterday, he's buying down in Monterey, and he was going to buy a brand new house, but he didn't like the idea of having to drive to downtown where his house was. It was Monterey Bay. And so now we're back to the drawing board, and now we're looking for homes closer to a place where they can walk to dinner, etc. So they're kind of taking their time today. In Dallas, you'll see houses sit on market. There's a huge explosion of supply. We're not really seeing that. We're seeing our inventory actually shrink, which we'll get to in a minute. So there you go. Los Gatos house of the week, not my listing. Mariposa Ave, 4.5 million, 4-bedroom, 4.5 bath, 2,300 square feet. And this is a Winchester mystery house of a house. It just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. And originally it was probably a 2-1, but then they punched out a couple walls and added to it and went up. And yeah, there's a nice magazine article photograph right there. Wouldn't have put it on the MLS, but that's me. So yeah, nice house. And do they have a floor plan? Yeah, they have floor plans. Good for them. So there you go. It's a whole lot of house for Los Gatos. It's a good buy. If you haven't done so yet, everybody's downloading this thing, and I'm doing a lot of follow-ups. So home inspection checklist. If you're thinking about selling your house, get some repairs done before. Drop this thing down, and then you get to get this printable thing and go through and fix it. Fix everything up, and then have the inspector come through, and you'll have a nice clean inspection. And whatever you do repair, make sure you disclose. Here you go. Home price decrease of the week. And I picked this one because it's overpriced. It's crazy overpriced. Yeah, okay, it's 2,400 square feet, but it's an older house. It's an older model house, and I don't think they looked at the specifics in this little area. See, when you're looking at houses, you look at a huge swath of houses. You're looking at a couple hundred houses, and then you're going to decide to go look at maybe 10 or 15, right? And if one thing is out of the ordinary on this, out of your thing, you'll skip it because you have so many to choose from. It becomes overwhelming. And then if it's overpriced based on the area, your house is going to sit on market. This one's on market 32 days. Granted, it's 2,300 square feet, but guys, nobody's going to pay for 1.65 for a house in this area right now. They're just not. And if you want to know where it is, it's north of 85, on the east side of 87, and the west side of 101. And Marshall Cottle Park is right there. Let's take a look inside and see what they did. Yeah, this is an addition right here, which is why it's 2,500 square feet, because those are typically 16 to 1,900 square feet, maybe 21 if you have a larger one. This is a split level. Sold one of these over in West San Jose last year. Good homes, nothing spectacular about it, but split level. So you have the sleeping level upstairs. You have the main level, which is the kitchen, dining room, living room, and then you have a family room down on the bottom. See, there you go. Nothing great about it, but $1.6 million for that area. It's going to take a long time for them to sell, so I wish them luck. And highest sold price, let's get to this real quick. I'm going to do that, and that, and get rid of that. There you go. All right, highest and lowest sold price. Let's go back to the one line display. It's the highest sold price in Santa Clara County, Los Altos Ave. Not my listing. Let me drop this down so you can, there you go. 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 3,900 square feet, built in 1926. It's 100 years old, and you get 3 photos of it. That's awesome. They probably took it off. It's a new thing now. And then this is Mountain View, the highest list price to sales price ratio. They started off at 1.6 and it wound up at 2.34. It's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 800 square foot on 7,500 square feet. And I can bet you dollars to donuts that this is going to get torn down and they're going to put a mini mansion on it. That's just how it is. But the seller was smart and they listened to the agent. They dropped down the price down to something where they can attract, where they can attract. Let me break this out here. Where they can attract buyers. If you are not attracting buyers, you're pushing off buyers. Yesterday, I did a talk about you have one shot to sell the house, to have that buyer fall in love with your house. And if you come in and you have your house overpriced based on the condition and the market and location, you're going to lose that buyer because he's got so many other houses to look at. They'd rather go buy that other house. Path of least resistance, right? If you overprice your house, it's going to take forever to sell. If you underprice your house, it will come up to market and buyers will pay what they're worth, probably even more, because this is probably a $1.9 million house at this point to tear it down. But they got into the bidding frenzy. And unfortunately, some sellers just don't want to listen. This one sold $2.8 million. This is the lowest list price to sales price ratio. 2-bedroom, 1 bath. This is in San Jose. Started off at $2.8 million because it was a 9,700 square foot house. I mean, square foot lot, 9,700 square foot lot. It was almost a 1/4 acre. So you're going to pay a lot of money for it. Well, no, not really. Not if it's in crappy condition. Let's take a look at the condition. And the agent, look at that. Oh my God. Oh. So start off at 2.8. Took 22 days to go, hey, let's just drop it down to 2.1. Let's see what happens. The seller's like, oh, it's going to take forever. My house is worth 2.85. It's not worth 2.85. It's worth 2,050,000. That's just the way it is. Excellent potential to build your own mansion on this huge lot. There you go. And lowest list price to sales price. So this one started, this is the lowest price sold home in Santa Clara County. This is Morgan Hill. And this is a 55 and over, sold for $570. Took 78 days to sell. Why? Because it was overpriced. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, buyers are taking their time. 78 days to sell a 55 and over house because the sellers thought their house was worth $100,000 more. Sorry, it's not going to happen. There you go. All right. And then we had 159 homes sold over the last days, which is a slight jump over the last couple of weeks. And we have 22.51% of the 1,146 current homes for sale have been reduced in price. 20%, 1 out of 5. There you go. And if you look, we maxed out at 1431. Our inventory is shrinking. So buyers, beware, right? Coming in towards the end of summer, kids are back in school now. Things are going to reset. Some buyers will come out. FOMC is set to testify at the end of next month, September. Pricing will still be a problem until then. If they drop the price, their rate, the interest rate down 0.25%, it's going to help a little bit. But my opinion of 22 years of real estate is you need to drop it down 0.5% in order to reinvigorate this market. That's where I am. You need to bring it down to 6.5% so you can buy a point down and drop it down to 5.5, 5.75, so that we have a free market again. This controlling market is hurting the common man, not the man with a lot of money. I'm sitting at that. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'm Vito with Avitano. We'll see you out there.